Hardpoint contested. The hardpoint is ours. 10 seconds. Get ready to move.
What's going on, guys? My name is Gray and welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to be going over the best class setup for the Dragunov, and this thing is actually pretty nice to use once you get used to it, and with this class setup you will be able to have a ton of fun and see some success with it. This class will work in multiplayer as well as Warzone, so you will be able to use it to its full potential in either game mode, whichever one you guys are playing. But if you guys didn't know, the Dragunov did actually receive a buff in the most recent update to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, so we are going to be getting into that later on in the video. Make sure you guys stay throughout the entire thing, that way you can get all the information about it and you'll be well informed, so you can go and have some fun in Warzone or multiplayer. But with that said, we're gonna hop into this really quickly, guys. If you could do me a huge favor and leave a like on the video, it really helps me out and it's very appreciated. Also, if you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and turn the bell notification on to all, so you guys get notified whenever I drop new videos. I've been doing a bunch of these sniper class tutorials because honestly I love sniping. I've loved sniping since Black Ops 2, which was my first Call of Duty personally, and it's just a ton of fun. So I'm gonna be making a AX50 class soon, as well as a carbine, and then the best class possible to hit massive feeds. So make sure you guys are subscribed with that bell notification on, so you guys are tuned in for those videos. But we're gonna get into this. So the Dragunov is usually, in my opinion, a horrible gun. I have not liked it in any of the past Call of Duties. I would never use it, it just wasn't my style. But in this Call of Duty it's a little bit different, and I actually was having a pretty good time using the gun once you get used to it, and then obviously with the class setup you'll be able to do better. It's actually a pretty good gun to use, so we're going to get into the attachments right now. I'm going to show you guys everything you need to know and explain everything thoroughly. So first off, we're going to be using the compensator on the muzzle, and this is very important, guys. Like, you don't understand. The recoil on this gun is horrible. You won't be able to control it, especially if you're trying to shoot multiple enemies. Let's say you kill the first guy and then there's a second guy right after. It is very hard to control the recoil on this gun, so that is why we're using the compensator, because it ups the control and you get more recoil control. However, the downside is it does take away some of your ADS speed, and that is unfortunate, but through my testing I found that it doesn't really affect it that much, and the recoil control is actually better, so you can, you know, obviously control your gun more. So this is, trust me guys, this is way better than having that slightly higher ADS speed. So moving on to the barrel, we are going to be using the 510mm compact barrel, and this one gives you ADS speed as well as movement speed. So both very good pros, and the cons, those don't even matter, to be honest. The recoil control does go down a tiny bit, but it is compensated for, you know, using the compensator like we just went over. Next, we're going on to the laser. So there's only one laser on this sniper, and the pros are absolutely insane. The only con is that you can be seen to your enemies, but like, who cares about that? Like, actually, we're fighting. They're going to be seeing you because you're shooting at them, so that doesn't matter at all. So it's all pluses in my opinion, especially for that ADS speed. Now, if you guys don't have your weapons leveled up yet, then this option won't actually pop up, so you need to make sure you level up your gun. I saw a few comments on my Car 98 video. People were saying that the laser wasn't there. That's just because your gun isn't leveled up enough. So I'm going to get back to the optic in just a second. You guys can see that I don't have anything on it at the moment, but I'll explain that in just a bit. Moving on to the stock, we are using the Stalker Scout stock because, again, we're getting that ADS speed, and it's the only one that actually increases your ADS speed. So this one, in my opinion, is the best, especially because you can get your scope up quicker, allowing you to kill your enemies faster and continue feeding on. Moving on to the perk, I use Sleight of Hand just because, you know, you got to get those bullets back in your gun so you can go and continue destroying the lobby. Now, you could add the 15 round mag or the 20 round mag instead of the compensator, because this does take down your ADS speed, and then these two would also do that, so it's the same speed you would be losing if you wanted to use the 20 round mag instead of the compensator, because then you would literally like never need to reload, and then you could take off the sleight of hands and, you know, do whatever else. But in my opinion, this is the perfect setup for this. The Underbarrel, you don't really need, if you're playing Warzone, crouching and proning is more likely what you're going to be doing in that game mode, so you could switch that out for maybe the perk, so you could, have more control while you're camping spots on top of a building or whatever you guys are doing in Warzone. But going back to the optic, you could have a few different sight options to get your ADS speed up. You can see here there's 4 different sights that give you ADS, but with this setup, if you have the compensator on it, it takes down the ADS a tiny bit, but that recoil control is huge. And then for me, I love sniping with having the most zoom. So like I could use the variable zoom, but then it would also take down my ADS speed. So I like having the default scope. That way I can get a good amount of zoom, plus I keep the ADS speed high so that I can go and kill more opponents quicker, allowing me to continue my feeds. So you could throw on these optics if you like them better. You could like how this one looks and feels. So if you do better with any of these, I would recommend going and trying them out just a little bit to see if you're doing well with them or not, because if you guys do well with them, then obviously go and use those. This is just my personal preference on which site I'm going to be using. Now, moving on to the perks, it is very easy. I use Quick Fix, Overkill, and Amped. For the perk 1, Quick Fix, it really is up to you. You can either use Quick Fix or Double Time. Those are the 2 perk 1 perks I would use when sniping. However, in my opinion, the Quick Fix is actually better because killing players immediately starts your regen, so then you can get more health when you're fighting people. So if the first guy you're fighting hits you and then you kill him, you can already start healing while you move on to your second target, which will allow you to stay alive longer, making sure you can go hit more feeds and get those insane clips. But if you didn't want to use Quick Fix, I would highly recommend using Double Time, because you can go and sprint a lot faster and get yourself into a good position to attack your enemies, and you know where they're going to be because of, like, let's say you're playing hardpoint or domination, you know where they're going to spawn, and in order to get into the location you need to be in order to hit that clip, then Double Time would be the move. But going on to perk 2, I use Overkill so that I can have 2 snipers. As you can see here, this is my HDR and Dragunov class. These 2 pair well together because the HDR is pretty slow, and then you can switch over to the Dragunov to finish off your feed for a nice swap feed. So I like having Overkill because on all of my sniper classes, just having that swap feed ability and the ability to switch guns when you run out of ammo on your first sniper is huge, especially if you're trying to hit fat feeds like 5-on, 6-on, 7-on, stuff like that. So having that Overkill to me is crucial, especially for multiplayer. Now if you guys are playing Warzone, then really it's up to you. I would highly recommend using Ghost because UAVs are the meta right now, especially in quads. You can get a lot of cash really easily and just buy your whole squad UAVs. So if you're playing Warzone, I would recommend using Ghosts, and then you could have on your secondary like the snake shot pistols, and then you would be goated, to be honest. So moving on to the 3rd perk for multiplayer, I would say use Amped, because again we are using Overkill, and the perk 3 couples with the perk 2, so you can switch over to your second sniper and allow yourself to hit feeds and be able to just keep going on and switch quickly, so that you don't have to wait for the full cockback animation of, like, let's say for my class, the HDR. But if you guys are playing Warzone, then I would say maybe Battle Hardened or Tracker. Tracker is good for fighting people inside buildings. If you're trying to clear a team out of the building, then you can see where they ran, if they went upstairs, which room. So I would go with Tracker if you guys are playing Warzone and using this class. I forgot to mention perk 1 for Warzone. I would recommend either EOD or Cold Blooded. Most people use a thermal on their sniper, so having the Cold Blooded would kind of help you out quite a bit, but you could also use the EOD so that you don't take any explosive damage, or it's reduced. Like, let's say you're storming a building and there's a claymore by the door but you don't see it, so this would save you. So you could choose either one of those for your Warzone class. Now moving on to what the buff was for the Dragunov. The buff was to Warzone specifically because it used to take 3 shots if somebody was full health, full armor, and the damage drop off was reduced. So now if you shoot somebody in the leg past the damage drop off point, then it only takes 2 shots because that first one will still rip off of their armor, and then you'll be able to shoot them again and hit them and kill them. So it is now a 2-shot at range instead of 3 shots, which is huge because of obviously some people will get into cover very quickly if they are getting sniped by a sniper, and you'll be able to take them out a lot faster. And the sound of the gun actually has been changed, so if I don't have a clip of the original sound, but in my opinion I was using this gun before the update and then now after. I like the sound of it after. It just sounds a bit cooler and more like an actual gun, but again, there's nothing really you can do about the sound of the gun anyway. But the buff was mainly for Warzone. I think it actually did it in multiplayer as well. I've just been seeing less hit markers with it while I'm using it, so they might have not included that in the patch notes, and it might have just shadow patched it and been able to do better in multiplayer. I haven't been hitting as many hit markers, but that is one of the problems with using this gun. As you guys probably saw in some of the gameplay clips that I threw in here, you do end up getting a few hit markers, so you want to make sure that your crosshair is lined up to where your opponent's chest is going to be, and you can predict where they're going to be running around corners. So have that center dot in the middle of your screen aimed where you think your enemy is going to be. That way you can line up your shot and aim in quickly, allowing you to hit that quick scope and hit them for damage. Make sure you guys have it at chest level and or their head if you're really, you know, pomaging it out here. But that's the only thing. Now it does make up for that by its high fire rate, so if you guys are able to manage the recoil, then if you hit marker your first opponent, you'll be able to hit them again pretty quickly because of the fire rate. And then obviously because we put the compensator on, the recoil is reduced, so you can control it and be able to hit your enemy after hit markering them. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a huge favor and leave a like. It really helps me out and it's very appreciated. Also, let me know down in the comment section what other videos you would like to see. Again, I have an AX50 carbine and best feeding class coming out soon, so make sure you guys are subscribed and turn the bell notification on to all so you guys get notified when those drop. But anyway guys, check out the videos you see on your screen right now. Peace.